Before you were even born, God had already chosen you. But what if the mission he gave you was to stand alone, to speak truth no one wanted to hear, to be mocked, beaten, even thrown into a pit by your own people? This is the story of Jeremiah, the prophet who carried the fire of God's words, but lived a life of tears. Jeremiah was just a young man when the voice of the Lord came to him. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Jeremiah 1 verse 5. But Jeremiah trembled. I'm too young, Lord. I don't know how to speak. And God answered, do not be afraid. I am with you and will rescue you. That day, God placed his words into Jeremiah's mouth, words that would uproot kingdoms, tear down falsehoods, and rebuild truth. From that moment, Jeremiah spoke what God commanded, but the people didn't listen. Kings hated him. Priests despised him. He warned Jerusalem, if you do not turn back to God, destruction will come from the north. Instead of repenting, they laughed. They called him a traitor. Even his friends turned against him. His nickname? The Weeping Prophet. Not because he was weak, but because his heart broke for a nation heading toward ruin. The king's officials silenced Jeremiah. He was beaten, thrown into prison, and at one point, lowered into a cistern, left to sink into the mud and die. Why? Because he refused to water down God's message. He didn't speak to please men. He spoke to please God. And just as he warned, Babylon invaded. The temple was destroyed. Many were taken captive. But Jeremiah's story isn't just about judgment. It's about hope. In the middle of disaster, God gave him a promise. I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. Even in exile, God had not abandoned his people. Jeremiah's life reminds us that truth is not always popular, but it is always powerful. Sometimes following God means standing alone, crying for those who don't listen, and holding on to hope when the world falls apart. So if you ever feel overlooked or too small for God's work, remember Jeremiah. Before you were born, he already knew your name. And your mission, like Jeremiah's, is part of his greater plan. The life of Jeremiah is not just history. It's a mirror for our own walk with God. First, we learn that God's call is personal. Before you were even born, he already knew you and designed your life with a purpose. Second, speaking truth may cost you. Jeremiah was mocked, beaten, and abandoned, yet he refused to trade God's message for human approval. Third, faithfulness requires endurance. Jeremiah served for decades without applause, reminding us that obedience matters more than instant results. Fourth, God's justice and mercy are never far apart. He warns to awaken hearts, but he also promises restoration. And finally, even in the darkest moments, hope remains. When a city burned and the people were exiled, God still whispered, I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah stood alone, but he was never truly alone, and neither are you. Whatever season you're in, hold on. Speak the truth, walk with courage, and trust the one who knew your name before you even took your first breath.
Subscribe to this channel to keep enjoying and learning from these beautiful Bible stories.